Johnny Rocket Launchpad. And now, here's Johnny.
Hey, it's Johnny Rocket here at the Johnny Rocket Launchpad, launching ideas in your direction. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Kurt Nelson.
Yes, sir.
My voice of reason, Miss Heather Nixon.
Hello.
And you can check us out always on NWCZ Radio every Friday from 4 to 6 and Liberty Movement Radio 5 to 7 Eastern Standard Time, libertytalk.fm. Saturdays and Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're here with our very special guest, the man, the chief editor behind the Libertarian Republic, Mr. Austin Petersen.
Woo! Ready to go. Thanks for having me on the show, guys. It's been a lot of fun so far.
By the way, if you have alcohol, please crack one open. So
the reason why I'm very kind of frantic and I speak quickly. If you notice, I've been slowing down a bit. So I'll tell you, I've been having a few beers tonight.
Oh, good.
Fantastic.
So are we's.
Do you have any of those bourbon balls left?
Oh, no. No, those were, I only got to eat a couple of those, and those were all going to, you guys know who Thomas Massie is?
Name sounds familiar.
Oh, you need to go Google this man. He's better than Ron Paul. He's better than Rand. He's better than Justin Amash. He's my number one favorite libertarian in Congress. He's hardcore. He's kind of crunchy granola, but he's a brilliant genius. He went to MIT, got a ton of patents. He lives green, even though he's not like a global warming freak. He composts, and he's got like a ton of land out in Kentucky. He's an awesome libertarian, hardcore, radical libertarian. He's the guy who leads the charge against John Boehner every time they try and unthrone him.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, you got to check him out. So one of his staffers was making the other night for people because the critters were all having like a candy exchange or something on Capitol Hill. So I just managed to be there and nail one of those bourbon balls down. But yes, it was
fantastic. I love it.
Oh yeah, it was good. It was good.
We drink we drink the shitty beer because, well, first of all, we can't afford anything more than that. But
That's right, we're poor.
We're poor.
We need advertisers.
Yeah. So yeah, we do. We need some beer sponsors. I think that would be ideal for this show.
You got to get the listeners, and once you get the listeners, then you get the advertisers.
Well,
That's right. That's right.
And you get the women.
Then you get to rape the women.
You can put them all over the place, man. We got big pussy, black pussy, yellow pussy. Sorry.
Get anything you want. But you gotta get the listeners. And so I'm just now at the point with my podcast where people are like, yeah, I'll spend $300 here, I'll spend $500 there, that they'll spend on ads, because otherwise, you don't have the listeners, there's just no point. But if you get the listeners, whatever, you get the impressions, that's what it is. And if you get a good audience, if you build a good, strong audience and those people buy, man, you'll never work for anybody else ever again.
Yeah, it's about reaching people, man. It's about reaching people who are buying.
And being an entrepreneur.
It is. And I'll tell you, our audience is actually pretty tough from a marketing perspective because they're very skeptical and they're very picky, especially if they're like us. Unless you're a conspiracy theorist. The reason why conspiracy theorists make a lot of money online is because, you want to have an audience of people who share things without reading them, right? Mm-hmm. You want to have people who trust you so much that they don't care what you say, they're going to do they're going to share your Facebook page, do all that kind of stuff. But if your audience is a skeptical type, if they're more like, picky, that's tough. It's a tough audience.
The conspiracy theory is kind of like the mega church.
Yeah.
They kind of go off of that whole principle of fear and fear mongering and getting people to buy the HEPA filter for and the water filter and the survival kits and the gold, bullion. And there's nothing wrong with the gold.
Works.
I'm all about that, but you know what I'm saying? It's all through fear.
Mm-hmm. Fearmongers, quacks, mountebanks.
Right. Alex Jones, is that who we're talking about?
And speaking of controversy, something that seemed to get a lot of attention was this list, the 20 hottest women of liberty alive.
Yes, we're going to talk about this.
We're going to talk about it. So the first question is, are you the one that put the list together?
Do I have to answer that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you do.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I am the man who put the list together.
Okay. Why do you think that people get so riled up about this?
Well, first of all, people are always looking for an opportunity to be pissed off about something. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like somehow a website will offend them. You know what I mean? Because their constitution is so weak, their personal constitution is so weak that they are offended by words or pictures that they see on the internet, and they've got to have an opinion about it. Mm-hmm. Joe, can I get another beer? Sorry, guys. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks,
Joe.
Thanks, Joe. somebody are looking to offend, right? Yeah, they're always looking to be offended, and so that's one thing. That's a class of people. People get upset about it for that reason, and it is mostly their problem especially because I do work hard to actually craft it in such a way so as to provide exposure to these ladies.
Yes, I absolutely thought that. I mean, it's not like you're just putting a bunch of big tittied tramps on there. These are intelligent, accomplished women who have fantastic ideas.
You goddamn right, and I certainly respect those ladies. And somebody was asking me about this the other day. They're like, why do you do it, Austin? Why do you do it? I'm like, well, because one, I'm going to make a shitload of money from it. Number and number two, because it showcases these fine ladies who are wonderful and terrific, and because we need more women in the liberty movement, and they counter, they say this isn't going to bring more women in the liberty movement. I'm like, well then fuck those bitches, they don't deserve it anyway.
That's right.
Because what are we're supposed to do? Like liberals just wipe women's asses, confirm their biases, tell them that they're pretty, put them on a pedestal. No, thank you. Okay, are we an individualist philosophy of people who don't give a shit what other people think of us or not? Right. Are you so offended? Then you must not be libertarian because most libertarians don't give a shit what other people think about them.
Right.
But these ladies, all 20 of them for the most part, even Belle Knox, the porn star, all contact me and say, thanks, I should have been number one.
Yeah. Well, you did say that it was in it was in a random order.
Oh, but they didn't read it, and they don't know that, and they all think, that it was in no numerical order. Even Belle Knox was like, I should have been number one, but I was like, oh baby, you are my number one.
Did you have a bunch of numbers in a basket and you're picking numbers out randomly? 13 is so and so.
No, it's much more academic than that. Actually, I look at it from a perspective of if I want people to stay the whole time and read the entire thing, I will put these ladies in this order because I think it will provide the maximum amount of traffic to the website. Right. Because that's my number one interest is driving traffic to that website so that I can profit from advertising.
Right, it's strategy.
So did I read correctly that Julie had a little problem with the list, or no? She was fine with it.
She did. Well, here's the thing: she would not. A mouse could fart louder than her saying something. But I don't know. If she did, I certainly didn't see it. I looked for her responses and things like that. But you know what? She had a response that was something like, "I want to be taken seriously." And then another girl said, I want to be taken seriously, not just for my looks and stuff like that. And I sort of teased Julie and the girl who complained about the idea that because they're pretty women, people are they have to work harder to get seriously.
They're pretty privilege.
Pretty girl privilege. I was like, and I think it's true, you know what I mean? Because hey, I have tits, give me everything for free, you know what I mean? I walk into a bar and I buy a drink, you know what I mean? Nobody's buying us drinks, ladies. Here's the thing. There's a lot of girls in the movement who have first world problems, and they have feminist issues. And I'm not saying all of them are social justice Marxist feminists, but they are social justice libertarian feminists. So a lot of times, their biggest complaint will be, maybe not objectification, but something like, oh, I had to wrap a Christmas present. I was expected to wrap Christmas presents. Or, oh, my God, my boyfriend wants me to make sandwiches and fuck him every day. Oh, my God, it's horrible.
Yeah, I know.
Well, God damn it, she should learn her place.
Hey, Austin, we have a segment. Her segment's called The Woman's Place. And it's actually kind of going against a lot of the feminist ideals that society has created. And it's cool. It's clever as hell.
She's sort of a I wouldn't say anti-feminist.
It's a non-feminist.
Non-feminist.
Because I said, Heather, get me a fucking beer.
And she's like, yes, dear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I poke a little fun.
Yeah, she does. And she does a good job. And I think a lot of feminists, sometimes take themselves too seriously. Austin, real quick, man.
Oh, my God, I know.
Got a question for you. Not all libertarians are from the same school of thought.
Right.
Some prefer the Austrian school, public choice, Chicago school, Milton Friedman, anarcho-capitalists. Where do you fall upon the spectrum?
I'm a minarchist, a constitutional minarchist. And when I say constitution, people always think the United States Constitution. But no, I'm a constitutionalist in theory, meaning that we have a right as individuals to draw contracts with one another, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We can also contract to provide for our own common defense. The Constitution, to me, is a document which we all agree to, in a sense, in order to provide for our common defense. And to me, I think that as a constitutionalist, I can believe in the idea of a constitution. I don't have to agree with everything that's written in the United States Constitution. I certainly don't. I don't agree with the income tax. I don't agree with, the way senators are elected. I don't agree with, a lot of stuff in the Constitution. But that doesn't mean that I don't believe in the idea of a constitution. Just as men are flawed, you're going to create a flawed document. And there's to me, I believe in the idea of a natural law. And to me, the natural law is the kind of thing, it cannot always be written down. But the Constitution is a positivist view of law, to say that if you have rights, they must be written down, or in order to have laws, they have to be written down. Okay, fine, I understand certain things have to be written down. The founders did that. Even the founders who fought against the Constitution, who didn't want a Constitution, the anti-federalists, they were the ones who fought for the Bill of Rights. They said, fine, if you're going to have a Constitution, you're going to have this Bill of Rights. And that's how we got it. And so to me, I know that was probably pretty smart, because if we hadn't had that Bill of Rights, we would have probably gotten screwed. But in the 9th Amendment of the Constitution, it acknowledges that there are more rights that could ever be written down. And so all these rights that aren't written down here shall exist to go to the states or to the people. And so that's how I think that's how it works. I'm not an anarchist, because anarchist philosophy to me is so extreme as to be, I actually think it is immoral in many ways. And that's because it provides no positive rights for children.
Right.
Meaning that women can, theoretically, if they're not committing aggression, they can leave their babies in dumpsters, right? After they give birth to them, just like, prom dumpster babies.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, well, that's what me personally, I've been leaning more towards like Milton Friedman's theory.
Yes.
The
even
Chicago school.
Even though he did a lot of stuff I disagree with.
Right. There's certain things, but he talks about negative externalities. And like there is a point where there needs to be a neutral entity that comes in and settles disputes. And yes, we should take care of people who probably can't take care of themselves. Capitalism isn't going to happen for that.
I mean, right. It is and it isn't. I mean, here's the thing. It's capitalism that gives us the abundance to have the excess to be able to feed those who can't be taken care of. The problem is that government is very inefficient means of distributing welfare. It's very inefficient. You know what I mean? It's $1 welfare, $10 government. And there's more efficient ways of doing it. The problem is that, with the rise of secularism, and I certainly am a secularist, there's sort of been a pushback against the church, where a lot of times, for a long time, churches really were the ones who took care of their communities.
Right.
And that's sort of gone away. We had religious hospitals and stuff. And now the government takes over the medical system, which to me sucks.
Right.
But there's never been an alternative. You know what I mean? There's never been a secular democracy, a secular republic, where you didn't have either religious people like Amish taking care of each other in their own communities, and everybody's sort of fractionalized. We have an enormous heterogeneous society of many cultures and races. It's one of the biggest countries in the world, and all these different cultures and regions, and yet we're all governed under the same federal system.
Right.
So you would expect that the power vacuum that would be left by religion when it was sort of abandoned, throughout the Enlightenment, and now secular government's taken its place, you would expect that like people would just automatically assume, well, if the God isn't taking care of me, then the government must take care of me, And so I think the problem is that, we as alternatives are going to have to propose new ideas. That's the thing. People are always like, libertarianism is based on the ideas of our founding. Well, no, they had slaves. You know what I mean? Like, we're actually getting freer, if you can believe it, in many ways. I know libertarians don't like to believe that, but the truth is that like we are now the freest humans that have ever been. We in the United States here with our smartphones and we all have first world problems here. You know what I mean? We've
Absolutely.
got first world problems, but people aren't starving to death in the United States. Did you know that? Did you know that people don't starve to death?
They don't starve as much as they used to. How about that? I agree with that statement, because people were like dying in the streets in the 16 and 1700s and the 1800s, as far as I know.
There've always been homeless people. There's always been destitutes, and a lot of times nobody likes to admit that a lot of that comes down to choices and things like mental illness and things that not a lot of people can do anyway. I mean, do we have mental institutions now anymore? No, Reagan shut them all down. So what happens? Those people go back out on the streets where they had always been beforehand. And nobody likes that. Nobody likes to talk about it. And it's not an easy issue to solve. But one of the things is nobody likes to say, oh, we're ever going to give up. But the only way to ever alleviate total no poverty, which I think is impossible.
It's impossible.
Is to have a totalitarian, fascist, imperialist dictatorship, and then you'll get North Korea, and then everybody's poor.
Right. No, totally.
Yep, that's true.
And let's just spread the suck.
Spread the suck.
Right,
That's exactly what it is.
I thought you thought that was a good thing.
Capitalism.
Go ahead, Austin.
capitalism isn't a utopia. Capitalism isn't a utopia. It's no promise that everything is always going to happen. It just happens to be the best system that's ever been invented. It just happens to be. Like,
it's
maybe
the
there
most
is something.
fair
Maybe one day
system.
maybe one day we will invent Star Trek food phasers, and we'll just have unlimited food, and then we'll never have to work again, and we can all be, just like what's the word, that Wall-E, the movie, we're all fat humans where they just, entertain us and feed us, and the robots do everything.
We're about halfway there anyway, I think, on Earth.
But there ain't no such thing as a free lunch, guys. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. You're going to have to, who's going to build the robots? You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, the government builds the robots according to the future, status. I'm just
right.
kidding.
Exactly, dude.
Right. But no. I mean, I've rambled, we've rantanted. I wanted to talk about that hottest libertarian girl list because I want to finish that off because I wanted to just say that I do that, to make money, to showcase these girls. But when you see the responses that you get from these women, I mean, they turn around, they get booked on Fox. You know what I mean? A lot of these girls have actually gotten like legitimate opportunities. And I think that's why some of them get mad. You asked me, your question earlier was like, why do you think they get so mad? Well, you know why they get mad? Because they ain't on the list.
Right. And one of the gals on the list was quite upset that she wasn't on it last year and basically accused you of being maybe racist.
Ooh, sort of, kind of in a sideways way, right? So she's like, oh yeah, I can see because they're all white girls and stuff like that, or something like that.
Yes,
and
blonde white girls, and
right. And she's like, they're not real libertarians, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, well, first of all, I just don't want this bitch to cut me, so I'm just putting her on the list.
Right. Hey, next time, man, just throw her on the list.
She was pretty enough, but she does kind of have the crazy eyes. And so I sort of was like, all right, I just don't want to be dead. So I'm just going to put her on there.
That's a good call, man. That's a good call.
But she didn't say thank you. I think she probably just assumed, I earned it. Yeah.
Right.
I should have been on it last year.
Well, if I wasn't, I was going to cut that motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. Cut that bitch.
So everyone can listen to this episode and be like, hear Austin swear.
Yeah,
and then they'll go and look at the list to see which gal that was. So there you go.
They're going to know. She's probably it's going to get back to her because people love to gossip, especially about me, because for some reason I've become the guy you throw darts at the wall, the picture that you throw darts at the wall, the favorite punching bag.
It's just the target, man. You're a target.
That's okay. I like
because you speak your mind.
Well, I do. I'm not afraid. I'm free. I can finally do whatever the hell I want. I work for myself. So if somebody fucks with me, I actually have power now. This is amazing. Libertarians are always like, oh, talking about being in power. I actually realize power now that it's a market power that I've accrued, that I've accumulated, that has allowed me to not only project my own beliefs, but also to defend myself. Can I tell you a quick story?
Sure.
Please do.
I got robbed. Okay.
What?
I got robbed. Okay. So this dude logged into my Facebook account. Now I admit that my security was not the best at the time.
You didn't do 1, 2, 3 as your password.
No. But he came in. He stole something from me, a page from me that I had bought from him. He wanted it back. He didn't ask my permission. He got in there and he stole it from me. Right. Thought he was going to get away with it. So the next day I was like, hey, does anybody know Ezra Van Auken from Maryland? Blah, 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 because he deleted his Facebook profile. He was gone. I had no way of contacting him. My inbox got flooded with information about Mr. Auken. And so, long story short, called his father at work.
Yeah, just like in the 5th grade.
Hey, well, he's a 21-year-old man, but a 21-year-old boy, apparently.
Yeah.
So I called his dad at work. His dad wasn't happy to be called. I posted a message on their professional Facebook page of their auto body shop and said, hey, I'm looking for the return of stolen property, and I'd like you guys to get in touch with me. Well, they sure as hell got in touch with me pretty damn quick when they saw that because I started advertising that there was an issue, and all the libertarian fans who hate thieves, who hate government thieves and real and normal thieves, private sector and public sector thieves.
There you go.
But they went after this guy and he returned that stolen property. And I thought to myself, well, holy shit, the power, and it's sort of the dangerous
power of public opinion.
Well, public opinion, but also, the power of the mob.
Right.
The democracy, it's what the special interest group do when they bully people. You know what I mean? Like Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Raise the drinking.
Well, here's the thing. There could be people who maybe do something that's illegal or legal, but it's immoral. And then, so basically they're guilty. we've had situations like that, especially in the rock and roll community.
It happens. It happens.
It happens, where it's not necessarily illegal to do it, but the people are, oh, how dare you do something like that? And then you put enough pressure on them, social pressure, they'll collapse.
Yes, it's true. And that's exactly what happened. And, I've also had a couple of bullies come after me because of some of my positions on issues. And they threatened to publish my personal information. Well,
Really?
I take threats very seriously nowadays because I've had that happen to me before. Boy, I put those two bros, I nailed them both on the cross right next to each other.
Good for you.
1 week, one guy, and 1 week the next.
Were these like known people, or were they just
one guy was the guy who sent himself naked pictures of his dick and pictures of him like having oral sex with women like at me, like just lewd photos of himself to kind of like, because I think he's kind of a sociopath, like a real.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, real psycho. He was basically called a rape victim a slut, and it was really it was very, very crude. And so I called him out on that, and then he came at me started harassing me. So I took an inch out of his flesh and put him up on the website and showed all the pictures and conversations of what he'd said and did all that. And he'll probably, I don't know if he'll have a professional job, but it better be something like fixing cars, because it's not going to be anything of any value when you see that kind of stuff that's out there. So, mind your manners. You know what I mean? You can be crude, you can say bad words and all that kind of stuff, but you be careful how you speak to people, especially a reporter. Mark Twain had a famous, a statement that he made, and it actually applies to today, although you'd have to switch it. He said, never pick a fight with someone who buys ink by the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, never pick a fight with someone with a blog and 100,000 Facebook fans.
Right.
That's right. That's
Same
right.
thing. You have a Wheaton, right? You're about what 300? How many likes you got on Facebook?
I got like 16,000 or 17,000 on my professional page for just. It gives you a platform, yeah. It gives you a certain amount of power, but the problem is that Facebook can take that away at any time. So what I'm really trying to do now is build an email list, and that's where you're going to have something. It's like you own it, nobody can take it from you.
So here, my thing is, most libertarians come to like philosophy of liberty, but some issues stick out more. Like my thing is property rights. I'm a big property rights advocate.
You are a big property rights guy.
I am.
You're always talking about property rights and the rights of property and how people who own property should have rights.
Exactly. Well, my big thing is smoking in bars. I think if you own a bar, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want in a bar. You own it. You should.
That's why you talk about property rights, is because you want to smoke in the bar.
I do. That's my thing. I think it's stupid. It's like, who the fuck?
You're right.
All right. So then let's just get to the meat of the issue. Do you believe that people should be able to exclude black people from their establishments if they wish to?
Yes, actually. I know that's politically incorrect, but yes.
Okay,
but hear me out on this. This is my caveat to that, is that, if you do that, you're going to have the public mob on the front of your door.
You're an asshole, and
you're an asshole. No one's going to go to your business.
Right.
But what if they don't? What if they don't? What if the community is racist and they collaborate against the black community as they did during Jim Crow?
I don't think we're not in that society anymore, though. I don't know.
I know, but that's the problem. Is that we were that society, and again, I'm saying I agree with you, but the problem with that is that it becomes a slippery slope fallacy. Once you let the camel's nose under the tent on one issue, you say to yourself, oh well, it's the same principle. So even if you want to say, oh gosh, it's so difficult to be intellectually consistent, and I think Ayn Rand said, when she talked about reason is the kind of thing where it's never contradictory, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the problem is that, we do sometimes tend to fall towards the extremes, the radicals. We're prone to radicalism simply because you have to apply these principles across the board. And it actually, in many cases, forces you to be inconsistent. Now, here's the thing. I've actually made peace with inconsistency, and the reason why is because Ron Paul inspired me because he was so consistent. Now I'm inspired by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who says that a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of a simple mind. Mm-hmm. It is the tool of philosophers, little statesmen and philosophers.
Sure.
Because it is impossible to be consistent. The world is inconsistent. In fact, our beliefs in libertarianism come from the idea of spontaneous order, which is a chaos idea. We who, like Thomas Jefferson said, timid men prefer the calm of despotism to the boisterous seas of liberty. Right. And so with liberty comes inconsistency. And so, unfortunately, there was a time when that occurred. And so, while I don't agree with the idea that people should be forced to bake wedding cakes for gay people if they don't want to,
I agree.
I simply sympathize with the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, even with that clause that demanded that blacks be able to sit at lunch counters. Even though that goes against my principle,
but the beauty,
I support that.
But the beauty behind it is if a black owner owns a bar, or a Hindu owner, or a Korean or Chinese, doesn't matter. If they don't want certain people in their establishment, they have the right.
Agreed.
So it works different ways. It has different.
It does, but I mean, do you really want to live in that society? With like segregation?
I don't think that we're in that position where people are going to go, oh God.
Yeah, but first world 2014 privilege. That's what you live right now. So yeah, listen. I'm not saying that I agree with it. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate because I'm always trying to hold up my own beliefs to reason to see whether or not they stand the test of reason. So in this case, I would say that do I agree with the forcing blacks to the lunch counters? No. Were there a lot of other things that had to be fixed in the 1964 Civil Rights Act?
Absolutely.
Was there a lot of good in that bill? Yes. Was there some bad? Yes. Was it right to sign it? Yes. That's just my opinion.
Sure.
Barry Goldwater would have disagreed. He didn't vote for it. He didn't want it. And certainly LBJ fought against it for a long time until he finally thought, hey, man, I can get a lot of blacks to vote Democrat. And then, he did a lot of good because he passed that civil rights legislation. So, it got rid of Jim Crow. It's like anything. Listen, every progressive reform that has always come with some bad. So feminism, got women the vote, women's suffrage. But guess what, ladies? What did we get with feminism? And we got temperance.
Chicks with hairy armpits.
Yeah, no, we got temperance. We got prohibition.
Come on, man.
They took our beer.
They took our nerves.
They took our alcohol. You know what I mean? They enacted prohibition. The ladies had a crusade.
That's right.
And then we got a century of prohibition in the drug war as well. Because we do it for the children, because of all those concerned mothers, and that's why we have Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Again, humanitarians with guillotines. So every progressive reform that we've had, not only, here's another interesting thing for you guys. Not only has every progressive reform that we've gotten always, had maybe been some good with some bad, it's also been puritanical. It's also been conservative. And I want to introduce you guys to someone, if you don't know who he is, and you should definitely get him on your show. His name's Thaddeus Russell.
There we go. There you are again.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Thaddeus Russell. Okay. So Thaddeus Russell is kind of a left libertarian college professor guy. He got fired because he published some very controversial data, empirical data about blacks and about Irish and about exactly how we got our rights. And he has some interesting views on the definitions of freedom. And he challenges libertarianism. And he challenges libertarians' ideas of freedom. And he would challenge you on property rights. But he talks about how prostitutes were the first feminists because the women who owned the houses of ill repute here in the Wild Wild West, they were the first women who could own property. And they had guns, and they defended themselves, and they defended their other ladies. And Thaddeus Russell wrote this fantastic book. You should check it out. It's called The Renegade History of the United States. It's an amazing read, and it talks about how pirates, pimps, prostitutes, are the ones who pioneered American freedom. It's fascinating.
Wow, that is fascinating.
Awesome, man. Thaddeus Russell. Got it, brother.
Where's Thaddeus from? How do we get a hold of him?
I think he's a San Francisco guy. I don't know how to get in touch with him.
We'll Google him.
Yeah. All right. Google him up and be like, hey, man.
Yeah, get his book, Thaddeus Russell, Renegade History of the United States. It's awesome. It's totally politically incorrect. He asserts that the slaves were more free when they were slaves than when they were freed. And that's very controversial.
No, that's kind of true.
Let's we'll put Heather on it because there's nothing like being contacted by a hot chick, right?
Right.
Exactly.
All right.
There you go.
Hey, anyway, so it's Johnny Rocket here at the Johnny Rocket Launchpad, launching ideas in your direction. Next up, we have a woman's place and our band of the week. Stick around. We'll be right back.